Recording vocals in a home studio can be quite tricky. In this video, I'm going to go through 5 mistakes that you can avoid to get a really good vocal. Although it can be very convenient to have the microphone in the same place all the time so that it's really quick to start a vocal, but do you really get a good vocal from that on every single type of track and vocal and song? Probably not. So you're going to have to determine what each song needs and where in relation to the microphone the vocalist stands and how close you have the pop shield. If it's a really soft song, you want someone really close to that microphone so that you get those really warm tones and they're singing softly. But if it's a real belter, then you move someone backwards a little bit. Don't move them back too far because then all the tones of the vocal will disappear, but move them back enough and the pop shield as well so that you don't get any P's on your microphone and that you can really get a clean sound coming through. When I started recording vocals with other artists early in my career, I noticed that I found it difficult to get a really great performance on verse 1 compared to verse 2. So on playback, once the artist had left, I would listen and I would go, verse 1 is just not as good as verse 2. And it needs to be. That's the first thing the listeners are hearing. And I worked out why. It's because a vocalist needs time to get their vocals warmed up. And that warm-up period depends on the vocalist how long that's going to take. Sometimes you have to just play the track 5-6 times for them to really sing it from start to end to be able to get that performance to where you need it to be. And once you are there and that vocal's ready to go, then when you do start recording that first verse, it's going to be as good as all the rest because they've warmed up. This one is a big category because there's a lot of things that can go into it. For instance, not giving the lyrics to the vocalist. If you've got a vocalist coming in on this track, they need to learn that, because if they don't learn it, they're going to have to look at their notes and they're going to forget words, or they're going to have to concentrate more on the words than they're going to concentrate on actually singing the song. This is especially important for the inexperienced vocalist. Then there's the audio level. Have you checked the right audio level that you're recording so that you don't record a lot of takes and then all of a sudden you realize you're really hot or you're really quiet? And as I said just now, mic position. The distance to the microphone is important. Have you put a pop shield on that microphone? And then a big one to always remember is the room acoustically treated? If it's not, go and get some blankets. Put the blankets around that person. It might not look the nicest, but at least you get a bit of a drier sound rather than a real hollow and echoey sound. Because by the time you go to mixing it, you're going to have real problems trying to make it sound good. So prepping is very important because there are a lot of factors that can go wrong. And the more you do vocaling, the more you will know things that you have to think of before you start vocaling. And this is something that a lot of people don't realize how important it is. The vocalist will put the headphones on and all they're hearing is the track. So if the track is off-keying them in some way, maybe a sound, or it's really loud and they can't hear themselves, or the vocal's really loud and they can't hear the track, or there's an instrument in the track that's really loud, that's over-dominating, then that's going to put them off, and that will probably mean that they're not going to be able to deliver a proper vocal. Maybe put some reverb on that vocal, or maybe you can EQ it a little bit or compress it a bit so that they sound really good on it when they're vocaling, and that will give them confidence and it will make them thrive in their environment, which is their headphones. But whatever you add for that person, just remember that you've got to record the vocal dry, so you don't want any of those effects going onto your recording. And then finally, the one thing I always do is I put the headphones on and I sing on the song myself for a little while so I can hear how it sounds in my headphones and adjust it to the way I like it. And maybe that's not far off to where the artist likes it as well. This is something that doesn't just apply to recording in a home studio. Every vocalist has a certain range, and within that range there is a tonal sweet spot. So when the vocalist goes above that or below that, they lose their sound or they lose their mojo, let's say, of their vocal. Yes, they can hit the notes, but does that person sound good? If I drop it down by 1 semitone or maybe even 2 semitones, do I get a better sound from that vocalist? Musically, the track's probably not going to change too much if you drop it down or up by 1 or 2 semitones. But for the vocalist, it's going to make a big difference. Maybe not for ease of singing alone, but also because of the tone and the sound you're going to get from that singer. By avoiding these mistakes, you'll definitely be well on the way to getting a good vocal. I have a more in-depth video about how to create pro vocals with a lot more content and a lot more ideas that could really help you. So please check that out. It's up above there, or you can check it in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell for future content. Thank you.